have fun, you know. And if you think it's not good, I'll make it sound good. You know? Sydney, shut up!
Hey everyone, welcome to this week's episode of Working Class Music, and I'm Jason.
I'm Tia.
And we got a special guest.
Cody, nice to meet you.
What's your last name, Cody?
Cody Jung, spelled J-U-N-G.
So, with our special guest, Cody, tell us a little bit about yourself and the channel.
Sure, I'll start with the channel. So I started the channel about 2 years ago, right at the top of the lockdowns and everything. Probably like a lot of people started their channels.
That's us.
Because I found myself with a lot of time on my hands. I had shot about 3 videos before then with the idea that I was going to start a channel that was mostly interviewing other guitar players and people in the guitar business. But of course that changed pretty quickly because March 2020 we weren't able to do interviews anymore. So I had 3 videos that I sat down and edited, put up on the channel, and then went, okay, what do I do? So I just started shooting little gear demos and comparison videos and playthroughs, and that's basically the direction that the channel's taken. Is it's part interviews and it's part, you know, gear demos. Most of the content on my channel focuses on Americana music, country music, rockabilly, and thumb style. So, you know, classic thumb style. And that's also the direction that most of the interviews take as well. There's people who are in that world or somehow related to that.
Fair enough. That's cool. I wish I could play Americana. I'm going to watch a couple of your videos now. And we figured, since we got a bunch of friends that play music, we want to bring that more into the channel. So, on today's episode, we are checking out the new UAFX Dream 65 Reverb amplifier. That is a lot, and I remembered it. And so, Cody was kind enough to bring his 64 Deluxe.
Yes.
A 1964 Deluxe, older than all of us.
Yes.
To compare it against, since no channel has done that yet.
That we know of.
That we know of.
We can just make the bold claim.
Yeah, we just made it.
Yeah.
No channel has done that at the time of the filming of this video.
There you go.
Yeah. So, with that out of the way, let's get on to the specs of the Dream 65. The Dream 65 is an authentic end-to-end replication of one of the most iconic 112 amplifiers. Some of the features include boost control for easier breakup with unique settings on each amp mode, built-in spring reverb and vibrato to capture the sound of the 60s, 3 separate speaker, cab, and mic options for a wide range of different tonal flavors. Stock mode is supplemented with 2 of the most iconic mods of the original. 3 bonus cabs are provided when registering the Dream 65. 4-cable mode bypasses your amplifier preamp when the pedal is engaged, giving you 2 more channels to play with. It also has a very up-to-date USB-C port, looking at you, Apple, for firmware updates. Bluetooth compatible for access to the Universal Audio FX app. Save and access presets using the right foot switch. For this demo, we're all using unique guitars. I'm using a 2011 Squire Vintage Modified Jazzmaster Special, completely stock, and it also features a special relic that you can only get custom from.
I'm using my limited edition American Pro Jazzmaster, all rosewood neck, stock pickups. Of course, I had the rhythm circuit inserted, modified, added. There's less wood, more wires.
This is a parts caster that I built about 2 years ago, actually right at the beginning of the channel. It is an MJT body. I think it's swamp ash. That's at least what they told me, but you know.
Allegedly.
Right. I've also got a Warmoth neck on there. It's the roasted maple. And in the bridge, I've got an Avedisian, I think that's how you say it, bridge pickup. He's a local pickup winder here in Atlanta. And then in the neck position, actually underneath the pick guard, I've got the Seymour Duncan Secret Agent under the pick guard there.
I'm using the Boss RE202 Space Echo, the Electronic Audio Experiments Limelight, and we have a J-Rocket Archer to kind of give it that little bit of Klon flavor, if you will. Now, let's get on to the sounds. And just because I have to. Just because I have to. It's one of the ones you're thinking.
I already know.
That's all for you?
That's all for me. That's all for me.
I'm not gonna take up a lot of time. I really want to hear you play.
No, no.
Don't
do that.
I want chicken picking.
Do you guys think you could help me dial in a slapback on this?
Oh yeah,
Jason?
I can try.
Is that the secret? It's in the slapback?
No, but this is probably one of my few chances to actually play one of these.
Turn the repeats down.
Repeats down and the speed way up. Take the slapback off for the chicken pick and stuff. Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna quit now.
Dude, I'm like, I want to go home and practice some country.
So, final thoughts and first impressions. Being that I've had that for a little bit now, I'll go first. After owning that and using it, especially at work, I've tricked several coworkers into believing that it's an actual deluxe. People have come over to me and be like, dude, what amp are you playing? And I would just point to that and the QSC speaker that I'm using, and they're like, dude, that sounds just like a deluxe. And I think where other pedals like that fail is capturing the feeling, which UA nailed the feeling. They nailed it. And I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say two things. This is worth every penny. There isn't anything out on the market that is comparable to the feeling that you get when playing this. The other thing which other pedals that I've had in the past don't really do, especially the Wars one, the ACS one, I'm sorry Justin, it doesn't take drive well. This does. On my own, I've tossed several different drives at it. Sounds like a tube amp, reacts like a tube amp. And, you know, I didn't want to buy into the hype, but I have bought, sold, done everything into the hype, trade in, trade up. The hype is well deserved, and I think UA just came in and changed the entire amp in a box game. I'm going to give this the platinum stamp from Working Class Music, because this is by far the best amp in a box that I've played, and I can't say anything else. Yes, it is one amp. However, it does that one amp really well. And after recording with it and just playing around with it, it's my go-to. And being a big Fender guy, I miss having a Deluxe. And now it's just like I have that. So it works out. And so I'm gonna shut up now.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I don't know what to say that you haven't, because, you know, for the folks at home, I have an orange rock reverb. If I did not have that amp, I would have bought a Fender Deluxe Reverb, and that is just that amp in a box. Like, essentially, it captures that Fender sound. Like, it's super clean, super warm. It's just like, there's body to it, if that makes any sense. Like, even, you know, halfway through, like, Jason kind of turned the amp down and Cody was still playing, and I didn't realize. Like, it literally just sounded as if, you know, like, instead of stereo, we just went mono. I thought it was still the tube amp playing. And, I mean, we're not gonna hear the final product until the video posts, but, like, just a blind shootout, this is like a really, really, really good contender for just like a replacement. I know that amp sims are kind of big right now, just because, I mean, A, money, B, portability, and, you know, C, cost. This amp in a box is $399. It's a lot cheaper than spending, you know, over $1,000 on a physical amp. You know, it's just not practical for every player and not in every application. So for like recording or even just like a live performance where you don't want to like lug around a bunch of heavy gear and just maybe plug straight through a PA, you can't beat that. Like,
actually, I'm gonna interject. Me being the atheist, I can't believe I'm going to say this. This is going to be really good for the church crowd that needs a quiet stage.
Oh yeah.
Like, this is going to nail that deluxe tone for that. So I wanted to say that before I forgot.
Yeah, we got country music and church references. What is this, a Chick-fil-A?
Sponsored by. No.
During Pride Month.
Yeah.
Oh god.
But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much how I feel. Like, this is fantastic. I mean, obviously, if you don't have the money or the space, you know, for a deluxe, this should be your your number one replacement option. I don't know, I feel like I compare a lot of things to food, but this is like an Impossible Burger. Like, it's that good.
Well, I'm gonna play off something that you just said at the end there, because so as you guys said at the top of the video, that 64 Deluxe is mine. I've got a few Deluxes at the house, and I still want this. I don't think that this is necessarily a replacement or get this if you can't get that. I want this. Okay. And I want this specifically for something that you mentioned, not the church music, because that's not really my thing, but I get hired for fly dates. And, you know, with shows coming back and that kind of thing, when I get hired for fly dates, if I don't have to deal with a cartage company, or I don't have to deal with gear rental, or I don't have to call one of my friends in another city to try to source an amp or anything, I'm happy. And if I can put that at the tail end of a pedal board and run direct, so long as the band leader's okay with that, that's what I'm gonna do. Yeah. So like when I leave here, I'm probably gonna place a pre-order for one of those. But I also wanted to say something a little bit different than what you guys are saying, but it's something that I kind of harp on my channel, which is vintage is fun, vintage is cool, it's antiquing in another kind of way, but it's not necessary. Like, old doesn't make things better, really. It's cool and it's fun and it's different, but even if, like you were saying, sitting in the room here, I didn't actually know that this speaker down here was doing anything other than replicating that. I didn't realize that this was the pedal here. And it sounded the same to my ears. Now, if people are watching this at home after the fact and the edit sounds a little bit different, one of the things that I try to harp on my channel is different doesn't necessarily mean one is better than the other, right? Like, this can hold its own in, I think, almost any situation that you're gonna want a Deluxe in 2022.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I guess just to add one thing onto that, I understand that, you know, some people look at it and it's like pricey, or you look at something like the Iridium or the ACS one and you're like, well, they come with 3 versions, you know, 3 different amp types. I can guarantee you, after owning all 3, I can tell you firsthand that that does the Deluxe sound the best. Everything else comes close, but the thing again that I want to emphasize is the feel. It feels like an amp, like the push that you get from it. And I think that's where other things in a digital sense have kind of lacked.
Could I tag on to
Yes,
that?
yes.
I just want to say, you know, this is not to put down any other company or model, but what I find myself doing with modelers or with IRs, I find the one thing that I like really, and I kind of stick with that. You know, it's like when you go to a gig, how many amps are you really bringing? If you're a country picker, you're bringing some version of that, or maybe an AC30 if you play a little bit more modern stuff, or a Dr. Z, but you're not bringing 3 different amp models and a switcher most of the time. I would think of that as just bringing your one amp to the gig.
Yeah. It's well said.
Yeah, so got to be transparent as always. Definitely want to thank Sweetwater for essentially sponsoring this and sending this out to us. We do have a part 2 coming up, and that's going to be with the Woodrow, and I think we're going to have to borrow one of your amps again.
That's fine. That's fine.
If we could ask a quick favor.
Yeah, if we can ask a
no,
no pressure.
No pressure. Ignore the cameras.
Well, the one caveat that I'll say, and this goes to the whole vintage thing, is so long as it's working whenever you guys want to shoot that video. I mean, that's the thing about vintage amps, guys.
We'll definitely be bringing Cody back for the sequel to that, and we have another guest that will hopefully be joining us for that too. Fingers crossed. So, without further ado, this has been Working Class Music, and again, thank you to Cody for not only being here and being awesome and making us want to go home and practice even more, and make me want to learn more than 3 chord shapes, but for just being pretty cool for letting us do this, because, you know, without Cody, this video wouldn't have been possible.
Well, thank you for having me so much. I really enjoy your channel and what you guys are doing and what you guys, like, honestly, I loved what you guys played, because I don't usually get to hear that through that amp, and it sounded fantastic.
Typically, this is where we tell everybody about our stuff, but we're going to do something different. This is Cody's moment.
Again, I just thank you guys so much for having me on the channel. If you guys want to check out something that's going to be more country, more Americana, you can go to YouTube and just look for my name, Cody, C-O-D-Y, Jung, spelled J-U-N-G, guitar. My channel should be the only one that pops up. On there, you're going to find interviews with a lot of country pickers, fingerstyle pickers, Americana players. One of the last interviews that I did was with Dr. John Knowles, but before that I had Tommy Emmanuel, I've had Johnny Highland and Brent Mason and Red Volkart and all of the people that, if you're into that stuff, you probably already know and love. There's also gear demos, and most of the gear demos are targeting the type of music that I play, which is, you know, like I keep repeating, Americana and country and all of that. So if you want to hear gear that you might already be familiar with in a different context than you might already, you know, be used to, I would invite you guys to come over and check it out.
Thank you. And the only link I'm going to plug from ours, only because this is definitely sponsored by Sweetwater, so use our affiliate link down below to purchase this, because it helps us out.
And then tell us what you think, you know, before, maybe during and after you buy this pedal.
Yeah. So with that out of the way,
down below, comment the worst movie in recent memory that you've watched.
it's Morbin time. It's Morbin time.
Yeah, last night I watched Tusk, and it was awful. It was so bad. It was supposed to be a horror comedy, and I sat in silence. There was no tension. It wasn't funny. It, like, scenes went on for longer than they should have, a lot like this, you know, section of
This video. Leave us your worst movie in recent history.
Yeah.
Mine is Morbius. Cody, what's yours?
Oh, I started panicking over here because I'm drawing a blank right now.
All right, so thanks for tuning in, and laters.
Adios.
Thank you.
Right.
enjoy.
Does it has to be a movie that I've seen recently?
Not even.
No.
It can just be in general.
Okay.
That was just fresh on my mind.
Yeah.